write an algebraic expression that represents the description. So if it says the variable, we're going to use whatever letter it provides to us, and then we're going to look for key words or phrases like difference, less than, subtracted from, sum, to help us identify what operation to use. So in this case, z is subtracted from 4.5. So 4.5 minus z. And I use that line through the z so it doesn't look like a 2. This one, a third less than, that phrase tells us to put it at the end as well, just like we did with z subtracted from. So it should say y minus 1/3. Leo travels a distance of 35. The time it takes Leo to travel is 35, and it costs Leo 35 to travel. Well, does Leo travel a far distance? Does it take him a long time? Is the cost to travel expensive? There's a piece missing from these sentences. The units. There's a big difference between traveling 35 inches and 35 kilometers. Or something costs 35 cents or $35,000. Does it take him 35 seconds? 35 years? Those units give us a clear idea of how long, how far, and how much it would be. These sentences, Leo travels a distance of d, the time it takes Leo to travel is t, and it costs Leo c to travel, are unknowns. And just like with the last ones where we had units that weren't clear, we need to make sure that we are very precise in our description of what D is talking about. Is the distance in miles? Is it in inches? So here it says write a precise description of the variables with units. So distance is D. Let D represent the distance, but we need the units to be included as well. For T, we're going to say let T represent the time in hours. And the cost should be measured in dollars. Jada's brother Blake was born 5 years before Jada. Jada's sister Sasha was born 2 years after Jada. What are possible ages of Jada, her brother Blake, and her sister Sasha? We saw this question earlier in Lesson 7. We used J to represent Jada's age in years, and we used B and S to represent her siblings' age in years. There were a couple of different expressions that we wrote, and so you could also describe Jada's age as Sasha's. If she was born 2 years after Jada, that means that Jada is 2 years older. So we can describe Jada using a J for Jada's age in years, or we can use Sasha's age plus 2 because she's 2 years older. So there were a couple of different expressions that we could write there. For parts A through F, define a variable, then write an algebraic expression to represent the situation. A, Ryan increases his total by 10 points. So we're going to say R represents Ryan's points before the increase. Then after the increase, it says points before plus 10 more. B, Riley has some almonds. She eats 10 of them. So we could use A is the number of almonds Riley starts with. So to represent her eating 10 of them, we have the almonds she starts with, and then we subtract 10 because she ate 10 of them. Adesh has $10. He spends some of the $10. So we'll represent M is the money in dollars that Adesh spends. So to represent how much he has, he started with 10 and he spent M dollars. D. Julie works 10 times as many hours this week as she worked last week. So we can use H to represent the hours. Julie worked last week. So then the expression for the hours she worked this week would be 10 times the hours from last week. Students are split into 10 groups, or groups of 10. S is the total number of students. So to represent how many are in the group, we would take S and divide it by 10. Una pours 10 quarts of lemonade into some cups. Each cup has the same amount of lemonade. So C is the number of cups. So 10 quarts is split into some cups. You could also write it as a fraction. Julie and Noah play a card game. In the first round, Julie scores 200 points and Noah scores 175 points. In the next 3 rounds, they each score 50 more points per round. A asks us to complete the table. So Julie's score was 200 and Noah's score was 175. Then they each score 50 more points per round. So she went from 200 to 250. Then in the third round, she went from 250 to 300. And in the fourth round, she would have 350. Noah started with 175 from the first round. If we add 50, that would give him 225, then 275, and then 325. B. Suppose the trend continues. When Julie has 550 points, how many points does Noah have? Well, Noah always has 25 less than Julie. So when Julie has 550, Noah will have 525. When Julie has 700, Noah will have 675. Let J represent the number of points Julie has after any round, and suppose the trend continues. How many points does Noah have when Julie has J points? So we're basing Noah's expression off of Julie. So it's Julie's amount, but he always has 25 less than she does. We wouldn't want to create a new expression using N because we want to compare it to Julie's score. suppose the trend continues. When Noah has 625 points, how many does Julie have? Well, Julie always has 25 more. And then when Noah has 975, Julie will have 1,000. Because Julie always has 25 more. So now this time we're comparing Julie's amount to Noah. So it says let n represent the number of points Noah has after any round. Suppose the trend continues. How many points does Julie have when Noah has n points? So we take Noah's, and to get Julie's score, we have to add 25. A rectangle's length is 5.25 centimeters more than the rectangle's width. Complete the table for the given widths of the rectangle. So that phrase more than means add to. So we're going to add 5.25 to the width. So 1 plus 5.25 is 6.25. 2 added to 5.25 is 7.25. And 2.5 added to 5.25. Remember, 0 can go in that gap because the decimals have to line up. Is 775. B. Let W represent the width in centimeters. Use W to write an algebraic expression that represents the length. So we're not using L for length, we're using it compared to the width. So we took the width's amount and we added 5.25 to it. So the length is always 5.25 more than the width. So if we're going to figure out the unknown widths, we would have to work backwards. So that's going to turn it into a 9. So I'm borrowing from this 1, and it turns it into a 10. But then I'm going to borrow from the 10 and turn this one into a 10. And borrow from that 10 to turn this one into a 10. So 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. And 9 minus 5 is 4. Here I have 11 minus 525. I'm going to borrow from this one. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. Now I have a 10 here, so I can put the 10 here. 10 minus 5 is 5. And then this one would be 675 because it's one more. Let L represent the rectangle's length in centimeters, so now we're comparing it to the length. Use L to write an algebraic expression that represents the width. In order to find the width, if we start with the length, we had to subtract 5.25. Kayla has $15 less than Toby. Complete the table to show possible amounts of money Kayla and Toby each have. Well, if Kayla had 0 and Kayla has $15 less than Toby, that means that Toby would have to have 15 because 15 less than 15 is 0. If Toby has $20 and Kayla has 15 less than that, 20 minus 15 is 5. If Toby had $100 and Kayla has 15 less than he does, if we subtract 15 from 100, it gives us 85. B says define a variable that represents one of the quantities in this situation. We're going to use K is Kayla's money in, or measuring in dollars. Use the variable in part B to write an algebraic expression that represents the other quantity in this situation. So now we're trying to describe Toby's money based on K. If we start with K, how do we get Toby's amount? Well, 5 plus 15 gives us 20. 0 plus 15 gives us 15. And 85 plus 15 gives us 100. So to find Toby's money, we add 15 to Kayla's money. Six, let h represent Eddie's height in inches. The expression h minus 1/2 represents Una's height in inches. Explain the relationship between Eddie's height and Una's height. H is Eddie's, so Una is 1/2 of an inch shorter than Eddie. Because if we are subtracting an inch from Eddie's height, that would make her shorter. 7. The measure of angle A is 90 degrees. The measure of angle B is less than the measure of angle A. The expression 90 minus x represents the measure of angle B in degrees. What does x represent? X is the number of degrees angle B is smaller than angle A. So it's how many degrees smaller angle B is than angle A. For parts A through C, write a situation that can be represented by the expression. Define the variable. Identify what the expression represents in the situation you wrote. Let's say X is the number of hours I worked last week. So I've defined my variable, and now I need to write a situation that can be represented by the expression. So something like this. I will work 20 more hours this week than I did last week. And then it says identify what the expression represents in the situation we wrote. The expression is the hours I work this week. So last week is X. I'm going to work 20 more than last week. So this expression represents how much I work this week. For the next one, I saved $2.50 by using a coupon. So my variable here, X would be the price of the item before the coupon was applied. And the expression represents the price that I pay after using the coupon. Here we could say I had 175 points in the first round and lost some points in the second round. So the X in this case represents the number of points I lose in the second round. And the expression is my score after the 2 rounds. That's all for lesson 9. Check back for lesson 10 whenever you're ready.